Hi, I'm Teresa and welcome to my channel. Today I am filming an unhaul. I've done a bit of a clear out, got a bunch of books ready to go, and I thought I'd share them with you today. I love watching unhauls. I find it so satisfying, so motivating to clear my own bookshelf, so I thought I'd bring some of that to you. So I hope you enjoy. In no particular order, first we have got Fallout by C.G. Moore. I have not read this one. It is an arc that I received secondhand, but honestly it's never really interested me, so I just never picked it up. I don't think I will, so I'm unhauling it. So yes, it's just never really interested me. I don't see myself picking it up, so away it goes. Next up we have got the Conductors and the Undertakers by Nicole Glover. So I received both of these books as review copies, but I'm just not interested in them. I've not picked them up. I don't think I will. They were received unsolicited. I didn't request them. So I am just going to ditch them, and hopefully someone who will enjoy them will find them and love them. So this follows a couple who begin solving murders and mysteries, a black couple after the Civil War who serve murders and mysteries of black people that the white authorities won't touch. One of their friends is brutally murdered, and so they embark on solving this particular murder. So I'm just not interested in it, sadly. I have other books I'd rather read, but I hope that they will find a good reader. Next up I've got the first 5 books in the Gallagher Girls series, which begins with I'd tell you I love you, but then I'd have to kill you. I adored these books when I read them when I was younger, and then I found them for sale because I read them through the library, and then I found them for sale later, bought them, but I've never touched them since buying them. I'm not going to reread them, they take up space on my shelf. I actually have 3 of them on Kindle as well if I do want to read them, or I can just go to the library, so I am unhauling them. Hopefully they'll find another reader who adores them. So this was like a cool all-girls spy school called the Gallagher Academy or something, and this just really vibed with young Theresa. I loved it. I wanted to be one of them, so hopefully they will be the same for another young girl. Next up I've got The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is a first in a fantasy series. It is incomplete. It has not been completed in the year since I bought this. I'm scared it will never be complete, so I'm scared to read the book, basically. But also I'm just not sure it's going to be my thing. I'm not a huge fan of adult fantasy a lot of the time. I have this thing in my head that's quite dense and slow, and I just really do not enjoy that. I much prefer the typical fast pace of YA. Just my preferences, but I don't see myself picking this up. I've not in the years since I've had it, so I'm passing it on to hopefully someone who will. I don't fully remember what this is about. I originally bought it because I was considering using it for my dissertation in Advanced Higher English. I thought it was quite intriguing, the idea of a story within a story, because I believe there's a bard telling a story. And I just thought that could be an interesting thing to write about, but I just never got around to reading it because it was very big, and then I discovered the series wasn't complete. So I instead wrote it on the picture of Dorian Gray. But yes, I'm just not going to read this, I don't think, so I'm passing it on. Next up I have got Rebel of the Sands by Owen Hamilton. I read this in, I believe, July. It's a YA fantasy, first in a series that I don't plan on continuing. There's nothing particularly wrong with this book, it's just I think I've kind of outgrown this type of book, and I just didn't enjoy it as much as I would have if I'd read it when I bought it years ago. It takes place in a kind of desert kingdom, and you follow a girl who really, as a girl, has no rights, but she ends up running away and going on an adventure, and it's a good fun time, but it was just very meh okay for me, and I'm not going to continue the series. I don't have any particular attachment to it, so I am unhauling it. Next up we have got Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which I believe I also read in July. Again, didn't really enjoy this. I think I gave it 2 stars, which was generous. I found it very boring. I just wasn't a fan of the characters or the world. I just didn't enjoy my time reading it. This follows 2 teenagers who are taking on as apprentice scythes in this world where death is no longer, at least by natural causes, is no longer a problem. So they have created this role of a scythe who just goes about lopping folks' heads off to control the population. And I think this was a very good book idea in theory, but it just didn't appeal to me as I read it. I didn't enjoy it, so I don't want to keep it, and I don't want to continue the series. Next up we have got The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I read this in August and I actually did quite enjoy it, but not enough that I want to continue it or really keep it. I've not got any attachment to it. I can barely remember what happened. So I'm gonna remove it from my shelf. Also, I don't like the colour of the cover. Anyway, this follows a young queen who's been in hiding all her life, but we follow her traveling to her kingdom to take her throne. And I thought that the journey would just be the beginning of the book, but it was the whole book, and I'm not very big on like journey fantasy. Like, I get very bored if they're just walking. So I didn't hugely love that part, but I did overall enjoy it. Mostly, I think it was 3 stars. But I just have no attachment to it. I'm not going to continue the series. If I am, I'm sure my library has it, so I'm just going to ditch it. Next up, we have got Stealing Snow by Danielle Page. This is a kind of YA Frozen inspired story, which sounds very cool in theory, but I've just never picked it up in the years I've owned it. I don't think I will. I keep being put off because the sequel has been pushed back and back and back and back for years, and I just don't know if it's ever going to be finished, which is off-putting to me, even if I don't know if I'm going to continue the series, if I'm going to like it enough. Anyway, I've not picked up in years. I'm not going to. I'm trying to be honest with myself, so on the outpilot it goes. Next up is The Edge of Everything by Jeff Giles. This is another YA fantasy, first in a series. I've just never started, don't think I ever will. They changed the covers after this book, so even if I did, I'd want matching covers, so I just don't think I'm going to read it, so I'm putting it out. I don't know what it's about. The synopsis is very generic. Listen to this. X and Zoe were never meant to meet, but when their worlds collide, they dare to love. They stand on the edge of everything and risk it all. Is that not the most generic thing you've ever heard? So I have no idea what this is about, but I'm not interested anymore, so I'm going to ditch it. Next up, I have got The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I read this years ago, and I don't think I enjoyed it that much when I read it. I did kind of keep it in case I would reread it and enjoy it more as an older teenager, but I've just never picked it up again. I don't think I will, so I'm going to pass it on to someone else. If I do ever want to experience the story again, there is the film. I think it comes quite highly recommended, so I might just try it. But yeah, it just doesn't really appeal to me anymore, so I don't think I'm going to reread it. Next up, we have got the Legend Trilogy by Marie Lu. I read this as it was very popular when it first came out. I didn't really enjoy it. I thought it was very mediocre. But I hung on to it all these years because it was popular and I thought I could maybe give it another try, but I don't want to give it another try. I've got other books I'd rather read, so I'm just going to pass it on. This got really popular again on TikTok, so maybe someone will be overjoyed to find it in a charity shop. Who knows? But yeah, for now, I'm just no longer interested in it. It's a relic of YA dystopia age, and that just doesn't appeal to me very much anymore. Next up, we have got Fresh by Margot Wood. I received this as a review copy this summer, and I read it, but I didn't really vibe with it. I think I gave it 3 stars, but that was maybe generous because I just didn't enjoy it all that much. Through no fault of the book, really. It just wasn't for me. This follows a bi teenager who begins her first year at university or college, I think, since it's American, and you just follow her living life, making a lot of mistakes, kind of thing. And it was entertaining, but it just wasn't for me, and I'm not going to pick it up again. I'm not going to be mentioning it in videos, so away it goes. Next up, we have got Everlast by Sarah Holland. This is another one that I've not read. I don't think I'm going to pick up from these older books that I bought a good while ago. This is another YA fantasy, I believe a duology, and time is currency, which I thought was a very interesting concept when I first bought it, but no longer really appeals to me, the story at least, so away it goes. I'm not going to pick it up. I have other books I'd rather read. We can sense a theme here through all these books. I have other stuff I'd rather read, and that stuff is diverse and wonderful, and a lot of these books just aren't. And finally, we have got Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I read this one over the summer. I thought it was just okay. I'm not going to continue the series. I don't see myself going back to it or reaching for it again. so I'm going to unhaul it. I'm just not that attached to it. So that's that. I have other books with a kind of similar premise that I've enjoyed more, and that is there being a really fun carnival with magic and intrigue and everything, but I've read other books I prefer with that theme. So yes, I am going to be unhauling this one as well. Hopefully someone else will enjoy it more. And that is it, all of the books I am unhauling. I love doing unhauls. I find it so cleansing, but I'm now running low on books to unhaul, so I don't know what to do next. But now I've got a whole shelf free on my bookshelf, so hopefully I can buy more books, which is obviously the end goal in unhauling books, so just making room for more. But yes, you can find links to all my social media down below if you want to keep up with me elsewhere. And yes, thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you with another video soon.